Hello there friends and welcome. Today I want to talk all about mods for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I still get a lot of questions regarding mods, and as my previous modding guide is somewhat old, I decided to fully update it for the enhanced edition of the game. Mods really go a long way into enhancing your quality of life when playing the game. You have mods to automate all of your buffs in one nice quick little button press, mods to change the speed of the game, expand upon the base game content with lots of new feats, abilities, classes, and even a very powerful tool that lets you customize and achieve pretty much almost everything you can think of in the game, from spawning items, NPCs, all sorts of nice stuff. So without further ado, let us get into our updated modding guide, first with how you actually install mods for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. The first step is to head into Nexus Mods. I'll have the link for every single one of these mods in the pinned comment down below, so don't worry about that. Then you have to download Unity Mod Manager. After downloading it, extract it anywhere in your computer. It does not have to be in the game folder. After you extract the file, simply go for the executable application here, Unity Mod Manager. Now select the game, in this case of course Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and install it. The second step is installing mods, so after you download your mod file, you don't have to extract the mod file. There's two ways of doing it, and the easiest way is to simply left click with the mouse, then hold and drag the mod file right here to this part that says drop zip files here. Just release the mouse and there we go. ToyBox has already been installed for our game. Otherwise, just click on the install mod option, then find the mod file you want and double click on it. It works the same way. I just think dragging and dropping is quicker. Now, if everything went according to plan, when you first launch Wrath of the Righteous, you'll be greeted by the Unity Mod Manager user interface. You can go to settings, then change the resolution if you want, and whenever you want to access it again, simply press Ctrl and F10 together. There we go. To actually get into the mods you want, simply click on them. So now ToyBox has been opened. Some mods like BubbleBuffs and BubbleTweaks are different in that you can change their settings in the actual game, as I will show you now. So let's get into the best mods I have prepared for you. Now the first mod I want to cover, and honestly the one that's probably the biggest quality of life enhancement to the game, is BubbleBuffs. With this mod you can easily automate all of your character's buffs into a single button click. Just like that, we get all of our buffs added at once. That's close to 130 buffs applied with the click of a single button. Now, while it is true you don't have to cast as an excessive amount of buffs, the reality is, for the higher difficulties of the game, usually starting from core, but especially hard and unfair, you do need to pre-buff a lot with your characters, usually at the start of every map area, because even with 24 hours duration buffs from the Greater Enduring Spells Mythic ability, you'll still have to move through the world map to access new areas, and that will drain time from your buffs. And of course it doesn't need any saying, but having to manually cast so many buffs all the time, well, it gets boring super fast, which is where the amazing BubbleBuffs comes into play. The way to access BubbleBuffs is different. Go to your character's spellbook. It can work for any character that has a spellbook. Then click on the Buff Setup tab here to the bottom right of the screen. You'll see all of the buffs your character can cast available for you here, split between spells and abilities. If you click on the gear icon here, you can go for the Settings tab. The most important one is to allow BubbleBuffing during combat if you prefer. To the bottom left, you have ways to filter through your buffs. The most important ones are Showed Round Level for the short duration buffs, and of course the text search, so you can easily find the buffs you need. Now here's the way the mod actually works. Let's take Crusader's Edge for example, a must-have buff on pretty much all melee characters including pets because of how useful it is against demons. But click on Crusader's Edge. The only character in my party that can cast it is Darren, who is a spontaneous caster and oracle. I don't have any Crusader's Edge slots prepared for Social, which is why he does not show here. Now this is important too. You can actually divide your buffs into 3 sections: normal, important, or short. BubbleBuffs will add 3 new corresponding icons to the bottom left of your user interface, and when clicking one of them, all of the buffs of that section will be applied to your characters. I usually like to save normal for the long-lasting buffs, 1 minute and longer, and short for the 1 round level buffs. So select the buff you want, Crusader's Edge, it's already set to normal. Now all you have to do is select the character you want to cast it on by clicking on the equivalent portraits right here. We have all of our party members and also all of our pets. I pretty much want it on almost everyone, so I'll do just that. Whenever you click on a character, the portrait will change to green, which means it's going to be cast on them, so just repeat that on every character you want your buff cast on. Yellow means you won't have enough slots to cast that buff. Now, BubbleBuffs is also able to establish differences between normal spells and spells that have meta magic, which means the little icon here, heightened spell. Darren by himself wouldn't be able to cast Crusader's Edge on all party members, however, I also have it meta magic as a heightened spell for level 5 slots, so now I can use it again. Some buffs that can only be cast on the character themselves, self buffs, well, you'll only be able to choose the corresponding character. Aura of Greater Courage, for example, is a paladin spell that can only be cast on the paladin themselves, so simply select Scylla. Now, for some spells, you'll have multiple characters that can cast them, for example 8. I have slots for both Social and Darren. Sometimes you just want one of them to cast all of the spells. For example, let's say I just want Social to cast it. I can click on the little arrow icon above Darren here and select Ban from Casting. So now only Social will be casting aid for our buffing sequence. If you have a Brown 4 transmuter, you can also check the Use Powerful Change and Allow Share Transmutation tabs here to automatically apply that as well. Now let us cover another mod I really enjoy, Bubble Tweaks. Made by the same creator of BubbleBuffs, so you know you're in for a great quality of life enhancement as well. It is actually accessed by going to menu and then choosing Options, Game. As soon as you install and activate the mod, you'll see new options added at the end here, bubble speed, cursor and user interface tweaks. My favorite one by far is the speed portion of the mod, especially for increased animation speed when moving on the global map. I personally find the default speed to be very slow. When moving armies in Crusade mode, it's way faster, so I like to set this to 2 times the speed. And also increased animation when not in combat. This way your characters will move a lot faster through the map areas. Lastly, increased tactical combat animation speed is also quite amazing to rush Crusade battles. You can of course also increase animation during combat, but that can be a bit troublesome. The best part is how high you can increase the speed. You can go up to 10 times, which is super fast. I prefer something more mild, at around 2 or 1.5 times. Now, another very useful mod I want to cover is ToyBox, a bag of tricks. This mod can honestly do almost everything in the game. I'm not kidding, the amount of options is surreal. There's so much stuff you can do with ToyBox. This is just for the first tab. There's a lot of ease of use stuff like being able to rest your characters, remove ailments, kill all enemies, teleporting. A very important quality of life change this mod has is the option to allow achievements when using mods. I got a lot of questions about this in my previous modding guide, and yes, if you use mods, no matter what type of mod, the game will automatically disable achievements. However, you can enable them back by checking this box right here. It is as simple as that. You can even increase the difficulty of the game, a lot of cheap options too for infinite abilities, spells, money and so on, the ability to move through party members and enemies, and this is one I think most players will be interested in. You can respec all of your characters by going to the side here and even increase their normal levels and also mythic levels, which is all done through the party tab. There's also options in the loot tab to see all of the loot available in the area you're at. And here's one of the best ones, so the search and pick tab. When you first select it, you'll first have to wait for the blueprints to load. It's basically loading all the blueprints in the game, so it can take a while as you can see here, because there's a lot of stuff in Wrath of the Righteous. Once it is done, you can then type on the search bar here to basically get whatever you want. Let's say I want to spawn an item from our party. The missable and very powerful Ronak Sacrifice Boots. You just have to write Ronak here, then press search. In this case, because there's basically only one, Ronak entry is going to appear right here. If you scroll down, you're able to see the entire item description, first the lore, and in green here, the actual gameplay benefits of the item. If it shows as blue, it's because you already have it. But anyways, just press add one, and there we go. Your party will have received Ronak Sacrifice. Let's say I want the Shy Lily helmet now. Let's just write Shy Lily, press search, and here we are. Because I haven't made this helmet for this run, it shows as orange, but just select add one, and once again we now have the items. You can of course also use this to get Kingmaker exclusive items in the game. Since they're still in the game, you just can't get them normally, unfortunately I think. This can also add features and feats for your character. Just select the one by clicking on their name, then add, for example, Enduring Spells, a mythic ability. My character in this one is an AEON who didn't get these feats. Just select add, and there we go, he'll now have them. Now let's say you want to search something that's a bit more generic, like trip. There's a lot of stuff that references trip. You have abilities, items, feat, class descriptions, and so on. So an easy way to filter is by going over to the tab to the left here. If you wanted a feat, that's trip, then filter it by feature. So now we basically have all of the feats and class features that are all about tripping. Even stuff like Cavalier's Charge and so on, including Greater Trip, Improved Trip, Mythic Trip. Everything related to trip as a feat will be here. Just be sure to check the description so that you get something you need. For items, this also helps a lot. Let's say you want to fight a belt that enhances trip, so just filter it by item equipment belt. So now you'll have all of the belts in the game that reference trip in some way. Meanwhile, if you want actual buffs to be added to your character like spell, item and ability buffs, simply type what you want and select the buff tab. You can also use this to spawn enemies and even NPCs. Just write what you want here, then filter by unit, and you'll basically see all of the golems in the game. A nice one is the Reforger golem, which was added by the Enhanced Edition, as it is an NPC that lets you change the look of your gear. You can also use this to trigger quests and events and so on. I would be really careful when using this for this purpose, however. Definitely keep a save before, because depending on what you end up picking here, you could, well, theoretically block your progression or mess up in a way. This mod can do pretty much almost everything, even change Crusade Kingdom stats for Crusade mode, recruit armies and so on. The possibilities are endless. Now, these three here are my core mods. There are two others that I also want to talk about, however. Tabletop Tweaks and also World Crawl. Now, I don't have much experience with these mods yet, but I do know they are highly regarded by the community. Tabletop Tweaks not only changes some of the game's rules to be closer to their tabletop versions of the Pathfinder rule set, but also adds a lot of nice stuff already present in the tabletop game but missing from the video game. There's new feats, new mythic abilities, quite fun stuff to get. World Crawl, on the other hand, also adds a lot of stuff such as new classes, spells, feats and abilities, but even has ways of enhancing the difficulty, such as by creating custom challenges the way you see fit. Just like with Kingmaker's Call of the Wild mod, if you want to expand the content of Wrath of the Righteous, be sure to get these two mods. Well, alright friends, so this was it for my updated mod guides for Wrath of the Righteous. If you found this useful, please remember to like, subscribe, and even consider becoming a channel member to access some exclusive content. Your support goes a long way. Thank you for watching and see you next time.